Plasticity, the quality of being soft enough to be changed into a new shape. The neurosurgeon explained that brain plasticity refers to the brain's ability to change and grow over time. Platitude, a remark or statement that may be true but is boring and has no meaning because it has been said so many times before. The politician ended his speech with a platitude about every man's right to vote. Plaudit, praise. The quality of his photography earned him plaudits from the experts. Plausible, seeming likely to be true or able to be believed. When Jason forgot to do his homework, he tried to come up with a plausible excuse his teacher would believe. Plea, an urgent and emotional request. He made a plea for help. Plebeian, one of the common people. The millionaire called the hotel a plebeian accommodation because it did not offer room service. Plethora, a very large amount of something, especially a larger amount than you need, want, or can deal with. The plethora of regulations is both contradictory and confusing. Pliant, being able and willing to accept change or new ideas. These toys are made of pliant rubber, so they won't break. Plod, to walk taking slow steps, as if your feet are heavy. We plodded through the mud. Plucky, brave. The plucky preschooler stood up to the bully who was taking his friend's lunch. Plumb, to measure how deep something is, especially water. Researchers plumb oceans for biological insights. Plummet, to fall very quickly and suddenly. When the housing bubble burst, many people saw their property values plummet. Plunder, to steal or remove something precious from something, in a way that does not consider moral laws or is more severe than it need be. During the protest riots, angry citizens began to plunder goods from closed stores. Plutocracy, a system of government in which the richest people in a country rule or have power. Ancient Greece was once a plutocracy, but its wealthiest residents no longer regulate the country. Poignant, causing or having a very sharp feeling of sadness. Because the poignant movie reminded me of my painful childhood, it made me cry. Polarity, the quality of being opposite. The film is based on the polarity of the two main characters. Polemic, a piece of writing or a speech in which a person argues forcefully for or against someone or something. The political candidate posted a polemic on his blog that mocked his rival's lack of community service. Politic, wise and showing the ability to make the right decisions. When the fight began, he thought it politic to leave. Polyglot, speaking or using several different languages. Because my sister is a polyglot, she was hired as a language translator for the United Nations. Populace, the ordinary people who live in a particular country or place. The populace became angry when the government failed to lower taxes. Populism, political ideas and activities that are intended to get the support of ordinary people by giving them what they want. The basis of populism is the belief that giving power to the people will protect individuals from exploitation. Porous, allowing liquid or air to pass through. Porous polymer membranes have a thin layer of semi-permeable material that is used for solute separation as transmembrane pressure is applied across the membrane. Poser, someone who pretends to be something they are not or to have qualities that they do not have. Security was shocked that a poser was able to sneak into the VIP room. Posit, to suggest something as a basic fact or principle from which a further idea is formed or developed. Since no other venue is available, I will posit my condominium has a place for the company holiday party. Posthumous, happening after a person's death. He received a posthumous award for bravery. Postulate, to suggest or accept that a theory or idea is true is a starting point for reasoning or discussion. It was the Greek astronomer who postulated that the Earth was at the center of the universe. Pounce, to jump or move quickly in order to catch or take hold of something. The cat sat in the tree ready to pounce on the ducks below. Practitioner, someone involved in a skilled job or activity. She was a medical practitioner before she entered politics. Pragmatic, based on practical judgment rather than principles. The scientist had a pragmatic approach to dealing with the water crisis. prate, to talk stupidly, or about things that are not important, for a long time. Even when the intoxicated woman was placed in the police car, she continued to prate until one of the officers yelled for her to be silent. Prattle, to talk in a silly way or like a child for a long time about things that are not important or without saying anything important. At every party, there is always one lady who has to prattle on about her cute kids. Preamble, something that happens before or leads to something else. At the start, the article's preamble informs readers about the topics the author will discuss during his interview. Precarious, in a dangerous state because of not being safe or not being held in place firmly. Many borrowers now find themselves caught in a precarious financial position. Precept, a rule for action or behavior, especially obtained from moral thought. Lawyers are supposed to follow a strict precept of ethics. Precipitate, to make something happen suddenly or sooner than expected. Fear of losing her job precipitated her into action. Précis, a short form of a text that gives only the important parts. The newspaper printed a subjective précis of the damning report. Precocious, showing mental development or achievement much earlier than usual. I was a precocious child who at the age of 4 was already discussing the daily news with my parents. Precursor, something that comes before another and may lead to it or influence its development. Biological research has often been a precursor to medical breakthroughs. Predicament, an unpleasant situation that is difficult to get out of. Because I do not want to end up in a financial predicament, I pay my bills regularly. Predilection, a strong liking or preference. Although she loves all types of music, she has a predilection for country tunes. Predisposition, the state of being likely to behave in a particular way or to suffer from a particular disease. She has an annoying predisposition to find fault. Preferential, better than that given to others. Bank employees usually get preferential rates of interest. Prehensile, able to hold on to things, especially by curling around them. A large opossum used its prehensile tail to gather and carry nesting materials. Premeditate, to think about and revolve in the mind beforehand. The assault was premeditated and particularly brutal. Premonition, a feeling that something, especially something unpleasant, is going to happen. Before the accident, he had a premonition something bad was going to happen. Preordain, to decide or fix what will happen in a way that cannot be changed or controlled. Some people believe that fate has been preordained whether they will be happy or not. Preposterous, completely unreasonable and ridiculous. The new laws are preposterous and will not solve the real crime issue. Presage, to show or suggest that something, often something unpleasant, will happen. Higher fuel prices will presage an increase in airfares. Prescience, the ability to know or correctly suggest what will happen in the future. Because Janet was amazed by the psychic's prescience, she visited him on a regular basis. Prescient, knowing or suggesting correctly what will happen in the future. The psychic's predictions were uncannily prescient and ended up proving true a few weeks later. Presumptuous, rude because of doing something although you know you do not have a right to do it. It would be presumptuous of me to comment on the matter. Pretension, a claim or belief that you can succeed or that you are important or have serious value. The Chronicle has pretensions to being a serious newspaper. Pretentious, trying to appear or sound more important or clever than you are, especially in matters of art and literature. Even though Jake was a millionaire, he avoided hanging out with pretentious people who liked to flaunt their wealth. Preternatural, more than is usual or natural. Anger gave me preternatural strength, and I managed to force the door open. Prevalence, the fact that something is very common or happens often. The prevalence of diabetes and obesity in adults continues to rise as junk food portion sizes get bigger and bigger. Prevaricate, to avoid telling the truth or saying exactly what you think. Even after she had been sworn in for her testimony, the witness continued to prevaricate about her relationship with the defendant. Priggish, marked by excessive concern for propriety and good form. After working for a priggish boss who was never satisfied with my work, I decided to quit the job and work somewhere else. Prim, very formal and correct in behavior and easily shocked by anything rude. The prudish princess has a reputation for being overly prim and proper. Primacy, the state of being the most important thing. The primacy of our mealtimes is that everyone eats together as a family. Primal, basic and relating to an early stage of development. The dog's primal instincts allow it to hunt out prey easily. Primordial, existing either since the beginning of the world or the universe. The planet Jupiter contains large amounts of the primordial gas and dust out of which the solar system was formed. Pristine, new or almost new, and in very good condition. Because there were few tourists on the island, the beaches were still pristine and beautiful. Probation, a period of time when a criminal must behave well and not commit any more crimes in order to avoid being sent to prison. The prisoner was put on probation. Probity, complete honesty. Banks only hire people with reputations of probity. Proclivity, the fact that someone likes something or likes to do something, especially something considered morally wrong. It is the proclivity of the gas companies to raise prices when demand is high. Procure, to get something, especially after an effort. It remained very difficult to procure food, fuel and other daily necessities. Prodigal, spending or using large amounts of money, time, energy, etc., especially in a way that is not very wise. The prodigal landlord spends the money as fast as he receives it. Prodigious, extremely great in ability, amount, or strength. She wrote a truly prodigious number of novels. Prodigy, someone with a very great ability that usually shows itself when that person is a young child. The high school boy was considered a prodigy when he won the national chess championship. Profligate, spending money or using something in a way that wastes it and is not wise. She is well known for her profligate spending habits. Profound, showing a clear and deep understanding of serious matters. The speaker's profound words made me think about my future. Profundity, the quality of showing a clear and deep understanding of serious matters. He lacked profundity and analytical precision. Profuse, produced or given in large amounts. Last year, my garden was so profuse with vegetation that I had to give away food. Progeny, the young or offspring of a person, animal, or plant. His numerous progeny are scattered all over the country. Prognostic, foretelling or predicting. The arterial alveolar oxygen tension ratio is a useful prognostic indicator. Prohibitive, too expensive to pay. Hotel prices in the major cities are high but not prohibitive. Proliferate, to increase a lot and suddenly in number. As cell phones become more and more multifunctional, their use continues to proliferate and you see them and hear them just about everywhere you go. Prolific, producing a great number or amount of something. Because the huge storm is expected to produce a prolific amount of snow, government offices and schools are being closed. Prolix, using too many words and therefore boring or difficult to read or listen to. The prolix professor had a habit of using complex words that most people could not comprehend. Prominent, very well known and important. If you are a prominent member of society, you will surely get an invitation to the mayor's fundraising gala. Prompt, to make something happen. Recent worries over the president's health have prompted speculation over his political future. Promulgate, to spread beliefs or ideas among a lot of people. The new law was finally promulgated in the autumn of last year. Propagate, to produce a new plant using a parent plant. Most house plants can be propagated from stem cuttings. Propensity, the fact that someone is likely to behave in a particular way, especially a bad way. My mother has a propensity to drink when she gets anxious. Prophecy, a statement that tells what will happen in the future. The minister suggested that the dire prophecies of certain leading environmentalists were somewhat exaggerated. Propitiate, to please and make calm a god or person who is annoyed with you. In those days people might sacrifice a goat or sheep to propitiate an angry god. Propitious, likely to result in success, or showing signs of success. When the butterfly landed on her shoulder, Alicia took it as a propitious sign she would have a fantastic day. Proponent, a person who supports an idea, plan, or cause. Because Monica loves animals, she is a fierce proponent of the animal rights movement. Propriety, correct moral behavior or actions. She was always careful to behave with propriety. Prosaic, without interest, imagination, and excitement. Even though the film director described the movie as exciting, the film was actually prosaic and put most of the audience to sleep. Proscribe, to forbid an action or practice officially. In our country, there are laws which proscribe discrimination based on race and gender.
Protean,
easily and continuously changing. George is a protean actor who is capable of playing numerous characters. Protract, to make something last for a long time or last longer than necessary. They tried to protract the discussion. Provident, making arrangements for future needs, especially by saving money. The Provident couple attended a seminar on how to budget their income. Providential, happening exactly when needed but without being planned. Winning the lottery was a providential step towards paying off my mounting debt. Provincial, inner from the parts of the country that are not the capital city. The majority of young professionals in the capital have moved there from provincial towns. Provocative, intended to cause a reaction, especially anger or annoyance, or to force you to think more carefully about something. The minister's provocative remarks were widely reported in the press. Prowess, great ability or skill. Christina used her hunting prowess to survive in the woods for a week. Proxy, the agency, function, or office of a deputy who acts as a substitute for another. When my husband and I are out of the country, my sister is the proxy who signs legal documents for our children. Prudent, careful in avoiding risks. It is not prudent to go swimming during a hurricane.